Jai Guru.
Jai Guru.
Welcome all. So, I would like to start by saying a little about the uniqueness of this path and the process we are undergoing here now, and how sometimes it may appear to clash with some strong beliefs that we bring with us from childhood or that we develop in adulthood. The lineage teachings are the highest knowledge. We start with the reality, our reality as the absolute, nothing less. This teaching that we are the absolute is not a premise. It is reality. The teachings of Advaita and the lineage begin at the highest point, namely prior to beingness or prior to consciousness. So this is our stance. This is our permanent stance, nothing less. What does that mean? It means that the process we are undergoing will take us back home to where we came, namely the stateless state, where there was no knowledge, no words, no language, no duality, no you, no me, no nothing. Prior to the manifestation of the body form, we existed as one essence, formless, thoughtless, silent, without words, without husbands, without wives, families, without religion, views, beliefs, etc. We had no identity. There was no spirituality either. Here Maharaj emphasizes that everything is an illusion, including spirituality. Spirituality is only used to remove the thorn of ignorance, and then we dispose of both thorns. So our path has nothing to do with what we believe in or causes we adhere to or beliefs we have developed in this life. Why not? Because these illusory layers only came after beingness. They were all learned. They are part of our conditioning that the ego has built up as part of its pseudo-identity. So beware of any beliefs you hold, new or old, as what we're here to do is throw everything out into the trash, because it is not part of your true nature. It is not part of who you are. The process we are undergoing is one of subtraction, not addition. We're not adding anything new because we have everything within us already, just that it's covered, obscured by all the illusions. So we're removing everything we have learned, accumulated, been influenced by over a whole lifetime. We need to clear a space so that we can breathe. We need to remove all the clutter and give our dwelling home a good spring clean. If we hold on to causes that are dear to us, we may jeopardize everything. Our opportunity to be free from the illusory I. So now I come to an interesting question from a seeker who has been preparing for initiation for some time. The subject revolves around him being a vegetarian with strong views. So he asks the question, Dear Annji, a conflict has come up for me for having the Nam mantra, initiation. It arose when I saw this quote from Maharaj on a video. And the quote is, "Whether you take non-vegetarian or vegetarian food is not a concern. How you are identifying yourself, that is most important." That he allows non-vegetarian food is a concern for me, says the seeker. I am vegetarian because I feel spirituality is also about non-violence and not causing suffering to animals. This is hard for me, since I feel the Nam mantra would be a great help in awakening. And then he says, I know God is leading me to the right guru, and I am praying for the highest guru to be revealed. So here it's like, because of one quote that wasn't acceptable to his vegetarian views, the seeker was about to throw everything out. So you can see here how the mind is really playing tricks, how the seeker was running away from truth because his views on vegetarianism were challenged. It's very interesting. So I responded to his response, and as I did it, I was praying that he would be able to keep his ears open and absorb what Maharaj was actually teaching. I prayed that he would not just reject the lineage and this wonderful opportunity for liberation simply because of an illusory belief. Illusory maybe, but at the same time, a very, very strong one that was too challenging for him, that he was about to forget about initiation and the lineage and the rest. So here is my answer to him. It is a shame that you quickly dismiss Maharaj, the lineage and the teachings because of a belief in vegetarianism. With respect, true spirituality is not about whether one is a vegetarian or not. The stances we take in this dream life are just that, stances, views, opinions, preferences, beliefs. Vegetarian or non-vegetarian is one example, politics, philosophy another. You say, I feel strongly about this. The whole point of the practice and the teachings is to dissolve this I, which is the pseudo-I, the created I, that developed these strong beliefs and lifestyle. Maharaj and the lineage masters teach from the stance of prior to beingness, prior to consciousness. That means that prior to the body-mind, there was nothing. It was the stateless state. We knew nothing about vegetarianism or non-violence. We learned these concepts with the manifestation of the body form. The purpose of the teachings is to stop identifying with the body form and all the illusory concepts that we have acquired en route that has formed our identity. The point of the practice is to remove everything you identify with, associate with, are attached to, those things that have created your self-image, including what is right or what is wrong. Suddenly, when you found this quote from Maharaj, you felt threatened and decided that he is not the highest guru. This is nonsense. You are reacting from the body-mind, from the perspective of someone who believes he is right, and even more right than Maharaj. As I said, your strong views are part of your body-mind identity. I understood that you wish to dissolve that, but now it doesn't sound like it. If you would rather hold your values that are body-based over and above those that are prior to the body-mind, not to mention the highest teachings. So are you going to forfeit the opportunity for liberation because the ego, your mindset won't budge? Are you going to say goodbye to Maharaj and the Nam practice because you are bowing to your ego instead of to Sadguru? Please stop for a moment. Take time to contemplate what is going on. Maharaj's advice is correct. Eat meat if you wish. Don't if you don't. Why is he saying this? Because the body has nothing to do with spirituality. The body and how we nourish it does not affect the spirit. There are no rules in spirituality in the real sense of the term. As Maharaj says, spirituality is also an illusion. It is the secondary thorn that we use to remove the first thorn of illusion. And once it's served its purpose, we throw it away, throw both away. Your ego strongly reacted to this video, making you really believe that you know better than Maharaj. It is an ego trap that you cannot see. It shows an over-righteous persona that feels attacked and threatened by truth, and therefore prefers to reject it. Would you rather remain as the illusory human being who's a vegetarian because you know it's right, rather than surrender that particular illusion and allow yourself to be the expansive self that you are, which is beyond all man-made beliefs, rules, dictates, etc.? Sadly, the knee-jerk response is lacking in both humility and an understanding of the Lineage Teachings. So before you throw everything away, not for your own good, please take time to pause and reflect. I was happy that he got back quickly before losing a wonderful opportunity. He got it, and he showed courage. And he said, I truly appreciate your clear explanation of Maharaj's understanding of this. I read that Annji also was not particular about needing to be vegetarian. It does make sense that if everything is illusion or zero, as said by Maharaj and by Annji, then the compassionate selfless self, or Paramatman, would not place this restriction on awakening to the reality. And yes, it is I that is connecting to this view rather than reality. Yes, I see this stance as ego. I will keep an open mind and open heart. Your compassionate response touches me. More time is needed in being, state and soul searching, and in preparation for the Nam. So, Jai Guru, that was an illustration of how we can get caught up very easily in things at a very high cost. Unfortunately, this seeker realized in time that it was the ego, even though he was fighting against it. And moved on. Now, here's a question. Someone's asking, is anger an impediment on the process of self-realization? And if yes, how to get rid of anger? So, all the emotions, as we know, all thought, all emotions, all feelings, everything that's going on in the mind body are illusory. Maharaj refers to anger as just a noise that comes out like barking dogs, and we shouldn't give much attention to the emotions, whether they're anger or fear or depression or sadness, because what we know is that all emotions are transient. They come like clouds, they pass, and everything that's transient is illusory. So not to worry about anger when there's a disidentification with the body-mind. These emotions will become less and less, will appear less and less, and they won't be a problem. So don't make them a problem at the moment. That was that one. Here's another one. One question on, if I am not the doer, I am not the thinker either. So won't the Almighty make me think moment by moment what thoughts are necessary for the universal picture? And can't I just let things be on autopilot? But you did say, Maharaj said, that when unwell, we have to go to the doctor. Can you help reconcile the above two things? And I responded with, I'm amused how your mind twists things to try and make them fit in accordance with your wishes. You are not the doer, and you are not the thinker. At the end stage of the process, all remaining thoughts will be spiritual thoughts that are not troubling. They're just peaceful, beautiful thoughts, and they stay. But at the moment, your thoughts are still coming from your conditioning and influences and makeup. In other words, from the mind, ego, and intellect. Therefore, these must dissolve with the help of the Nam mantra and the process. Things can unfold in spontaneous autopilot mode, say, once you're out of the picture, but you would not wish to let that happen at present when the thoughts are coming from identification with the body form. Regarding going to the doctors, if you have a physical problem, go and see a doctor. If you have a mental problem, go and see a psychologist, because the body-mind problems have nothing to do with your ultimate truth, your ultimate reality. Jai Guru. Jai Guru. And someone was asking about mantras and what is the difference between the Nam mantra and, say, reciting a mantra or a divine name. And you also ask, if the mind-body is impure, is it not blasphemous to recite God's name? So the answer is, our reality is prior to and beyond all names. The Nam mantra, you wanted to know about the Nam mantra and how ancient it was, dates back to the time of Saint Dattatreya over 1,000 years ago. The Lord's names or divine names for God are manifestations of Brahman, the absolute, the unchanging ultimate reality. How can reciting the Nam mantra be seen as blasphemous, or reciting any mantra, when what we are reciting is our true identity, our true nature? I am Brahman. Brahman I am is our truth. Don't confuse the body-mind with our reality, our spirit. The body-mind is an illusion. What you are in reality, under all the layers of superimpositions, is Brahman. And Brahman has never been affected by your body-mind. Brahman has never ever been touched by anything, by so-called impurities. Brahman is separate. It is full stop. If you wish at times to utter the name of the Lord, then do. If you're drawn to a particular deity, then aspire. But remember that ultimately what we are is nameless. Regarding the efficacy of the Nam mantra, it is ancient, it is empowered by the great masters who have spent lifetimes in meditation. The Nam mantra works as a vibration which has the power to transform the body-mind. A very potent tool that hammers the ego and dissolves all the concepts and attachments. There's a beautiful story about Shri Maharaj, and it says that as his body was cremated, all one could hear was the Nam mantra emerging from his bones. This is the aim of our practice. This is the aim of the Nam mantra practice. We want to remove everything that is not part of our true nature and just be that. Jai Guru. There's a question here from someone says, you say we must let go of the ego the mind and the intellect, how will I cope with my work and family life without them? So here the person is under the illusion of being a doer, as if the person's ego, mind, and intellect is doing everything, coping with everything. And we know that the mind, ego, and intellect are illusory. Behind these, what makes them work is the presence. And we cannot do anything without the power of the presence. When the ego, mind, and intellect have weakened and are much quieter than before, spontaneous presence comes to the fore, and then everything that was done before will be done in the same way, but much better, because it will be effortless. There'll be no doer there. And as long as we think we're the doer, it takes a lot of energy. When we know we're not the doer, and we allow spontaneous presence to take us through and attend to everything in our daily life, then life will be much easier and flowing. Jai Guru. Excuse me. If while I'm going through these questions, something arises within you that you want to ask, then please ask. No? Someone asked the question, how long does it take to realize the ultimate truth? How long is a piece of string? It takes various times, various lengths of time, because of, all depends on how involved we are in the practice, how seriously we take it, how mature we are spiritually, how hungry we are to know ourselves. If we're very casual about our search, our practice, then it could take a long time. If we're passionate, driven, earnest, determined, it could happen quickly. The best thing to do is live each day as if it was your last, with a pressure to wake up from the dream. If you take it too casually and say, next week, next month, and there may not be a next week or a next month, then it will take longer. So I would advise you to be urgent. You know, there has to be some urgency, some longing for truth. And then it'll come. Jai Guru. Here's a question here. Someone says, I'm still interested in what goes on in the world. I have preferences, interested in world affairs, participating in the world. Is this taking the touch of this waking dream, or under the header of doing my duty? So, if you're taking an interest in the world, then you're taking everything for real. You're taking yourself for real, you're taking the world for real, you're enjoying the scenery, what you see, instead of staying with the seer. The practice involves staying with the seer at all times and not being dragged into the world. Now, it sounds by this question that you're enjoying the entertainment, the mind is enjoying the entertainment. But if you continue taking the world for real, the days, the weeks, the months are passing by, you're taking each day for granted, and it's not helping you. You need to attend, go within you, look within, stop looking at the world. It's the only way to find out who you are, do your practice. So there needs to be more self-inquiry about who is still interested in the world, who is this I, who has preferences, and really get to grips with the practice. Jai Guru. We don't know how long we have in the body, so we can't go around swanning in the world. Our priority, we're here on this earth to wake up. That's the only reason we're here. And if we don't wake up from the dream, there'll be another dream and then another dream. So why not use the body, use it as the vehicle for self-realization, not for worldly pleasures and enjoyment and stimulation in the mind, and just do the practice. Maharaj has given us, shown us the way. We have all the instructions. We just have to follow them. And if you're sincere, dedicated, self-realization will happen. So don't waste time. All we have is now. Jai Guru. Here's a question. Does the individual have free will? Well, there is no individual, therefore, who has free will. The individual is an illusion. Free will is a concept. Everything happens spontaneously. There are no separate beings, no separate individuals. There is only one essence. We're all part of the same essence. We are all formless. Jai Guru. That was a short one. Someone asks, is ego part of the consciousness? And the answer to that is no, because the ego is the pseudo-I. It is what we have constructed ourselves, what we have made of ourselves through influences, through impressions from the world. The ego is the false I, the pseudo-I. It's come about from conditioning and made us into who we think we are. And our practice involves the destruction of the ego, removing all the layers, and so that we can uncover our true reality. Yes?
Yes, Sam. That was similar to a question that I had. Don't know if it was, but where I was going with that is that if oneness is all there is, and there is a body, mind, and even an ego, and it must have come from oneness. That's how I felt, and that's what I thought ego could still be. You know, if there's only one, then it only can be part of the one.
But the ego is the ego comes with the manifestation of the body form, which is the separation from oneness into the body form, into the illusion of being separate individuals. And therefore we all develop separate egos, and the job that we have to do is to dissolve the ego, because it's just the covering on our true self. When we manifested as the body form, we separated from that source, and then we believed ourselves to be the body form, the ego mind, whatever you want to call it. And it's a covering, layers of covering, layers of conditioning, that we need to uncover, remove, and then we're back to source.
Yeah, that's partly answered it for me. I mean, I know it's ego talking now, so that's half of the issue. But for me, when I saw the oneness of it all, and you have that formless nothingness that's everything, then for me it was oneness objectified. I know it's a vision or visionary or what do we call it? A phenomenon, so to speak, but it would still, it's just, for me, it was a changing state, let's say, a temporary changing state from where we are absorbed back into a formless state, but there is some kind of subject who's the I am for me, and it's looking out, and it's, there is livingness through the individual forms that are within this actual universe. But I appreciate I'm talking from ego. Yeah, totally. Yeah, but that, I'm just trying to explain how I feel, how that ego-ness is coming up.
Yeah. Definitely the ego is the problem. And we need to dissolve it. I mean, where was the ego prior to beingness? And we can always use that statement as a barometer to take us back to our natural state. There was nothing prior to beingness, no? No mind, no ego, no intellect, no nothing. No words, no language, no nothing. So don't get too friendly with the ego then. Yeah?
No, but you know, I'm sorry to take up some of this. For
That's
me
all.
as well, it's like as well, there was a question somewhere previous, and it would be that if I realize, then there would be a fear, probably wasn't how this man or woman stated it. Would there be a fear that I would be almost a zombie within this universe? And for me, let's say I say, hello, Annji. Yeah. Annji has to respond to a name. And in order to respond to that name, for me, there must be something left of an ego form that doesn't feel it's the doer, it's a non-doer, but it's a functional part. And therefore, that's what enables you to respond to what is illusionary objects and forms. Does that make any sense from an ego saying it?
First of all, realization is, there's no one who realizes. Realization happens. Realization is from the person. When the ego dies, then realization can happen. But as long as you are there, as long as Kirk is there, there's no realization possible. And when you talk about the name, the only reason we respond to names is through conditioning, because as children, as babies even, we were given a name, and it's like the story of Pavlov's dogs. It's like automatic response. Somebody calls your name and you say yes, and it's just conditioning. It's automatic. It's got nothing to do with anything else. But because we respond to a name doesn't mean to say that we are not that name. We know we're not the name. We are nameless. We are formless.
If I could just add that, can everybody hear me?
Yes, Ryan.
I recently watched a video about a collection of Shri Nisargadatta's quotes where he referred to himself. And it was illuminating because he would often say, don't confuse me with who is talking right now. Don't confuse me with the body. You see a body, but I don't, I'm not with this. Questions are coming, answers are coming. I'm hearing it just like you're hearing it. So
that's right.
We can't even guess what that's like while we're in this ego trap. Yeah, that was something that kind of hammered home for me, that it's utterly, it's beyond anything that we can say, what will I be like when I'm realized? It's not like that because there's no one there anymore. But of course, Shri Nisargadatta still responded when people called his name, but that was the body responding. He is everywhere. He's the presence. He fully removed identification from the body form and just abided as what he always is. I mean, the words can't even talk about it anymore at that point.
That's right. And thank you, Ryan. Kurt was saying, and what about fear? You know, when self-realization happens, you might be a zombie. How can you function in the world? Well, I mean, that's, you know, it doesn't happen like that, because the process of self-realization is one of, it's a shift in perception. So you viewed the world in one way, and then you view the world in another way, but you don't become a sort of zombie, you know, without the you, the I, or whatever. There's functioning. I mean, it was always the spontaneous presence that was doing everything, and not Kirk. As long as you think it was Kirk who was the doer of everything, then you're imagining that Kirk will be lost when Kirk is gone. But you must develop the conviction that Kirk is not the doer, and without spontaneous presence, it's just a dead body. Kirk is a dead body. So develop the conviction that it's the presence, you are presence, and it's the presence behind everything that allows you to function in the world. The presence is the power. You are that power, but not the ego mind of Kirk. So when you deepen the conviction, then these thoughts and fears dissolve, because you're no longer attached and you're no longer identified with Kirk.
Intellectually, I have no problem with losing Kirk. Honestly, it's not that fantastic. And I do not have a problem with saying intellectually, I am not the doer. So that is progress as such. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually trying to know what is unknowable almost up to that point. Yeah. And that's where my question was coming from. But yes, I more and more every day, I feel as though there's a lessening of a me, and more of it will be what it will be. It is oneness's will, shall we say, what is happening. I'm not doing. Yeah. In fact, Kurt doesn't even exist. No, he doesn't, as daft as that might sound to other people beyond this group or of that mind set. I do not believe that Kirk, in reality, in oneness's reality, exists.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like a game, maybe.
The practice, though, is working and is helping the illusory Kirk to dissolve, and the attachments, you know, one by one, little by little. It's a process we all go through, and it works, and the conviction will come. Jai Guru. This is a sort of body-based question as well, about someone's asking how the way we're made up. Some people are like skilled at some things. They have strengths and weaknesses, maybe different tendencies, good at some things, bad at others. And the question is really to do with body-based knowledge, and not really to do with what we're talking about. Because when we know that we're not the body-mind, and we remove all the layers, then all this learned behavior or self-perception of ourselves as good at this, bad at that, duality, will dissolve as well. So it's not really a big issue. That's all I have to say about that. Jai Guru. Here's a question. Neti neti. Should we negate during meditation everything that comes to awareness as it is a concept or perception, including even the observer? The first thing I would say, when you're doing meditation, don't work at neti neti. When you're reciting the mantra, just focus on reciting the mantra, because to switch to observing the thoughts or weighing things up and netting during your meditation is interrupting it. Use the neti time outside of meditation, and then you can look at things. When you're reciting the mantra and thoughts are coming up, don't give them attention. Just keep reciting the Nam. Outside of meditation, you can do your self-inquiry and go through the neti, maybe things that have come up during meditation, but it's important to keep your concentration focused on the Nam solely. Nam recitation, just keep it going, hammering, hammering, hammering. That's what I'd say. And to say we're netting the concepts, the thoughts, and you say even the observer. I'm not sure about even the observer. Hopefully you will, when you're self-inquiring, you're staying as the witness, as the observer, to allow you not to be drawn into the illusion. And practice as the witness, staying as the witness is very important, because it stops you getting caught up in worldly things too often. So establish yourself as the witness, which takes time, and then eventually one goes beyond the witness. Jai Guru. This is interesting. I find that, sorry, Kirk, yes?
Yeah. A question for me on that. As I'm meditating and doing the Nam mantra, there's a feeling that, and I could be totally wrong, so this is why I'm asking it. As I'm reciting it, that's the ego that's reciting, and then the space or whatever's there feels like I'm witnessing it. Is that the right way to see that? The Nam mantra and the meditation period?
No, there is no right way to see anything when you're doing the mantra. What Maharaj will encourage you to do is just recite the mantra. You know? And it doesn't matter who's reciting the mantra. You say, is it the ego reciting the mantra? Is it, you have to just recite the mantra, especially in the beginning. It's a vibration. The hammering is really important. Whether you focus on the mantra, its meaning, whether you don't, the main thing is to get it into your system and just recite. After a period of time, you can sort of, loosen a wee bit and try and focus on its meaning more. But just now, I would say you want to get that vibration deep within you, established deep within you. So forget about who's doing it, what's happening with it, just do it. It's important, okay? Agree. Someone says, I find the mantra is very comforting, especially during meditation. Again, who finds it comforting or loves the mantra, which is a concept again? Is it real? Now, the mantra is the sound of the breath, and it's very natural. And when people receive the mantra, a lot of them will say, oh, this is beautiful. It's a kind of ebb and flow, ebb and flow. Selfless self is what we are. So when you say, who finds it comforting, don't lose sight of the fact that there is only selfless self. There is no one else, within who's reciting the mantra. There is selfless self alone, and therefore selfless self is responding to selfless self. It's like the rhythm is just perfect, the vibration, the presence, whatever you want to call it. So we don't have to ask the question, it's like we're at home with the mantra, and it's continuous and it's eternal. It's prior to beingness, it's after beingness, it's if it existed, it goes on forever. That's what I would say, Jai Guru. Is it possible that I recognise glimpses of the Absolute in Ramakant Maharaj's pictures? And should we meditate and concentrate on them? That's a very good question, because there are, you probably have seen many pictures of Maharaj where he's completely absent from the body. And you look at Maharaj's picture and you see the transcendence. He's transcended the body, he's transcended everything. And in that picture, you'll feel a transmission from the Master, Sadguru. And I would recommend that as well. I mean, I have pictures that are my favourite pictures of Maharaj, and they transmit tremendous power. And if you focus on Maharaj's pictures, then the energy is, you feel at one with Maharaj, which is what we are. And it can aid your concentration, if it can assist it, if you're having difficulty. That oneness is there within these pictures. So I would say yes, definitely recommend it. Jai Guru. And here's the question. If we are already realized, how can illusion remove the illusion of being a body? Now, we are already realized, but we don't know that we are, because there's a veil hiding, covering over our reality. And that's why we use the Nam mantra to chip at the ego, chip at the intellect, chip at the mind, remove the layers, remove the concepts, remove the attachments, so that then that realization, the realized state that we are, will come to the fore. At the moment, it's hidden, it's under darkness, there's a lot of clutter on top. When we do the practice and remove all the layers, then the light comes to the fore when everything is gone. So it's possible and it works. And that's it, Jai Guru. Can we ever reach such a great level of devotion living surrounded by people who live completely absorbed by the senses? And the answer is, of course we can. The masters did it. I mean, that's what's special and unique about our lineage, is that it's a householder lineage. And the masters were married, many of them, apart from Ranjit Maharaj and maybe some others, married with families. They worked. They didn't get sidetracked by the world or by the work or by responsibilities or by other people who weren't following a spiritual path. What they saw was these things were challenges for them, and it made them overcome and deepen their spirituality. And they didn't have a problem. They knew that what was around them was illusion. They devoted themselves to the practice and succeeded in self-realization. So, of course, we can reach a great level of devotion. Remember, devotion is internal, and if you give yourself time, you give yourself allocated practice time to devote to the masters, then it will happen. Of course, it's possible. Jai Guru. Here's another one. Why did Shri Ramakant Maharaj keep telling those who did not have the Guru mantra to recite, I am Brahman, Brahman I am? Well, Maharaj, as we know, was very compassionate. If people couldn't receive the Nam mantra because they weren't able to travel to receive it from Maharaj directly in Nashik, or for, maybe they were ill or whatever, then Maharaj would say, use I am Brahman, Brahman I am. I mean, it's got the same meaning as the Nam mantra, and it works. What we know about the mantra is not that if we get a superior mantra like the Nam mantra, we will realize, and the one who has just got I am Brahman, Brahman I am, will not. It doesn't work like that. You can have the Nam mantra, and I know many people who've received the Nam mantra, they've not valued it, and they've not done their practice, and therefore nothing's happening. If you have the mantra, if you use the mantra I am Brahman, and you're dedicated and you're completely determined to follow the path, do your practice, that earnestness, that dedication, that devotion will take you there. So whether you have I am Brahman or the Nam mantra, it doesn't matter, because what counts is what is in your heart and what drives you forward, and your sincerity, your longing to self-realize. Jai Guru. What if Shri Bhausab Maharaj said that only the mantra can be given by a realized master, can show you your true nature? Now, no one should be giving the mantra if they're not being authorized to give the mantra. And I know of a few already who are doing that. But if you've not been authorized to give the mantra, or you're not a master, then it should not be happening. And those who are giving the mantra without authorization, it has no value and it's not going to work. So I wouldn't worry about that. Jai Guru. Looking for. How can I control anger if the body responds to old conditioning? And the answer there is, don't control it, just let it out. Just, that anger, again, we did this already, is an emotion, let it pass. And with the practice, there'll be less and less periods of anger. Don't accomplished men ever get angry? Accomplished men, masters get angry, they bark, but it doesn't mean anything, it's just making noises. So it's not worth paying any attention to. Jai Guru. And here's one. Early in the morning before singing Kakadarati, and indeed at various other times, first of all, I personally address, greet and show gratitude to the Master, whom I consider my Guru, and then personally greet and bow to each of all the other lineage masters according to some internal hierarchy. At the same time, when I bow to this or that image picture, I present the image of the Master and pronounce a mantra, and I do this with equal dedication based on the fact that I am worshipping the one essence, the principle, the selfless self, just manifested through different forms. The same applies when I prostrate before the Masters. Or every day when I wipe the images of the Masters, I kiss the feet of the Masters in the pictures and put my forehead to their feet, and do the same with another, depending on the day of the week, i.e. my Guru every day and other Masters alternate throughout the week in a circle. Question is this normal? Is it possible to do this? Isn't such an approach multi-worshipping? Well, what I would say is, of course it's normal, and it's also very beautiful, and it shows a deep devotion to the Masters. We know that the images are many, but there is only one Sadguru. And of course it's not multi-worshipping. It is devotion, deep devotion. And the more devotion we can perform, the better, because each time we bow to the Masters, a little bit of ego is falling off. So keep bowing to the Masters. But remember that as we worship the masters, what is really happening is that we are worshipping selfless self, that which we are. And there is no separation between the masters and us. One Sadguru, Jai Guru. I think I've sort of gone through quite a few today. Anyone else? I think that's enough questions for today. Anyone has anything to say or ask or? So if you find this helpful, then keep sending the questions in. And we'll close for now. Jai Guru, Jai Sadguru. Thank you for coming.